Chapter 641 I Give You My All. Looking at the two who went from being a loving couple to mortal enemies, the prince of the northern border sighed. He thought of himself and Ran, who were also loving at first but ended up in a mess. The old Taoist priest calmly observed the scene and said, "This joyous occasion has turned into this. Shouldn't we leave?" The prince of the northern border nodded and, together with the old Taoist priest, quietly retreated. Not only them, but everyone else left too. They couldn't finish the banquet, so they let the Heavenly Tao Sword sect handle it themselves. But everyone left. Even the elders of the Heavenly Sword sect didn't stay behind. It was just him and the beautiful woman. The sect leader coldly said, "Now tell me, who is that person?" The beautiful woman looked ashen and said bitterly, "I know I've made a mistake that doesn't deserve your forgiveness. I'll commit suicide. I hope this matter will disappear with my death. If you don't want to raise my daughter, you can give her away. I only beg you not to kill her. She's innocent, just like you. All the mistakes are mine." The sect leader stared at the beautiful woman in disbelief and shouted, "You'd rather commit suicide than not protect that man?" The headmaster could not accept this outcome. The beautiful woman shook her head, weeping, and said, "I'm not protecting him, I'm protecting you. You are no match for him, and neither is the Heavenly Tao Sword sect. I will take responsibility for my mistakes. If you continue to be the leader of the Heavenly Tao Sword sect, I am willing to die. After this incident, how can I still have the face to be the sect leader of the Heavenly Tao Sword sect?" Sect leader Lu said with a self-deprecating smile, "I will resign from my position as sect leader and entrust my child to the elders to raise until he grows up and inherits the Heavenly Tao Sword sect. As for me, you don't need to worry about me. A true man is born into this world. If he can't even avenge his own grudge, wouldn't he be too useless?" Sect leader Lu said coldly, "You're really not on the same level as him," the beautiful woman cried in despair. "You've put a huge green hat on me, and now you're actually concerned about me? Should I be touched?" Sect leader Law mocked. "I know you hate me, so I've severed my heart meridian and extinguished my soul. I hope my death can extinguish your anger. This was my fault. I was momentarily blinded by greed and seduced by the other party. I will take responsibility for my mistake. I hope you can spare my daughter." As the beautiful woman spoke, she spat out a mouthful of blood, and her life force rapidly declined. The sect leader's expression changed, his face trembled, and his demeanor shifted before he finally roared, "Tell me, who is that man? You are no match for his strength and power. Give up and blame everything on me. I hope my death can take it all away," the beautiful woman said weakly. "You wish." The sect leader coldly looked at the beautiful woman and strode out. "Your suicide won't change my mind. One of us, the other or me, must die." Master Lu roared, "I won't say it." These were the last words of the beautiful woman as she lay dying. "Even if you don't tell me, I can still find out. We could have lived a happy life together, but your mistake changed both of our lives and our 2 children." The head of the law sect looked at his wife with a complicated expression. This was the last time he would see her. After looking at her, he strode out. At some point, he found himself holding a blood-red pocket watch. The beautiful woman lay quietly on the ground. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao was cultivating. He had broken through to the Xianxian realm and was now consolidating his cultivation. Xiaoqi suddenly informed him that guests had arrived. Xiandao had no choice but to focus on cultivation and went to the trading hall. "I saw the beautiful Xiaoqi. What is the guest's background?" Xiandao asked. "It's a rather bizarre thing," Xiaoqi said with a strange expression. Xiandao asked curiously, "What strange thing?" "A pregnant woman gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, and then discovered that there were actually 2 fathers for the children," Xiaoqi said. Xiandao was completely bewildered. "There's such a thing?" Xiaoqi nodded silently. She was also quite speechless. She was having group sex while she was pregnant. Xiandao asked with a strange expression. Xiao Qi shook her head and said, "It's not what you think. It's because they ovulated one after the other with a very short interval, and the woman ovulated an extra egg, which caused this result." Li Xiandao said helplessly, "I'll never be able to get rid of this green hat in my life. After all, one of the two children is my own. That's the most disgusting thing. I'll remember this every time I see my own child in the future." "Yes, that's why this cuckolded man came to our Tiandi money exchange," Xiao Qi said. "Why is he looking for us?" Li Xiandao asked Xiao Qi, puzzled. "I'm not going to help him get rid of the green hat on his head," Li Xiandao complained. "He wants to know who that man is," Xiao Qi said, rolling her eyes at Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao suddenly realized and said, "Then let him in." Xiao Qi pointed and said, "He's already here." A man with an icy expression walked out from outside the main hall in the distance. Li Xiandao looked at him and felt that there was a hint of green on his head. But Li Xiandao didn't say that he wouldn't stab others. "Welcome to the Heaven and Earth Bank. Here you can trade anything in the world. We can trade anything you want, provided you can afford the price," Li Xiandao said with a professional smile. The sect leader looked at Li Xiandao and found that he couldn't see through him. It was like an endless abyss, and he couldn't tell what level of cultivation Li Xiandao had. The only thing he was sure of was that Li Xiandao was very powerful and strong. "I want to know who the father of the girl my wife gave birth to is." Master Lu was a little embarrassed to say it, but he still forced himself to say it. Li Xiandao blinked. If Xiao Qi hadn't told him beforehand, he would definitely be confused right now. "This relationship is way too complicated. Didn't your wife tell you?" Li Xiandao asked quietly. "She committed suicide, refusing to speak even in death," the lawmaster said bitterly, hating his wife for choosing suicide rather than revealing the name and identity of her lover. "Do you really look down on him that much? So you really want to protect this adulterer?" He simply wouldn't believe his wife's claim that it was to protect him, the head of the law school. With Tiandi money shop around, he still didn't believe that anyone could deal with him. Li Xiandao said, "Oh," and then said, "Since your wife committed suicide, does that mean you can't find any other clues besides our Heaven and Earth money house?" Master Lu nodded, but he had placed all his bets on Li Xiandao and the Heaven and Earth Bank. "All right, let's talk about the price. If the price is right, I guarantee I can help you find this adulterer," Li Xiandao said confidently. "What do you want?" Sect leader Lu asked, looking at Li Xiandao. "It should be that you can set a price for this matter, and the price you set depends on your own willingness to pay," Li Xiandao said, passing the buck to Master Lu. The sect leader pondered for a moment, then gritted his teeth and looked at Li Xiandao with extreme determination, saying, "I will give you all my possessions." Chapter 642. This is the Celestial Court. Master Lu was truly determined to find the person who had cheated on him. He was willing to give Li Xiandao his entire fortune, which was a huge sum of money. Li Xiandao's heart stirred, but his face remained expressionless as he asked, "How much is all your wealth?" After calculating, sect leader Lu said, 30 million top-grade immortal crystals. Li Xiandao swallowed hard and said seriously, "If the 30 million top-grade immortal crystals are true, then the deal is done. All my possessions are in this magical artifact, filled with all sorts of treasures, immortal crystals, and immortal weapons. Apart from my own immortal weapon, the long sword, I'll give you everything else. I don't want a single thing." Sect leader Lu handed Li Xiandao a storage artifact and said firmly, "I just want to know who that man is." Sect leader Lu gritted his teeth, his eyes fierce. Once he found out who the other person was, he would fight him to the death. Li Xiandao handed the immortal artifact to Xiao Qi and asked her to check it. "If what you've given me is correct, then we can now discuss how to find that man," Li Xiandao said. "How do you plan to search?" Sect leader Lu asked Li Xian with excitement. "It's simple, aren't they twins?" Li Xiandao said casually. "They are twins, a boy and a girl." Sect leader Lu nodded. "The boy is yours, and the girl belongs to the other person?" Li Xiandao asked. The headmaster nodded solemnly. You didn't hurt this girl, did you? Li Xiandao asked immediately. No, I am not a bloodthirsty person. The child is innocent. Even if I hate that man, I will not hurt this girl, sect leader Lu said firmly. Li Xiandao said with satisfaction, that's right. If you had hurt this child, that would have been the biggest problem. The child is still alive, so bring her here. Master Lu was taken aback. Bring it here. Although he didn't kill the girl, he didn't want to see her again. The girl carries the blood of her parents. I can find her father through her. If you don't bring her here, how can I find the person you're looking for? Li Xiandao retorted. The sect leader immediately stood up and said, I'll go and bring the girl over right away. Li Xiandao nodded and said, take the pocket watch right now, hold the girl and crush it. You will return here. The headmaster took it. Li Xiandao simply waved his sleeves and swept the sect leader Lu out one by one. How about it, a gentler approach? Li Xiandao asked, looking at Xiao Qi. Xiao Qi carefully counted the items and said, there are still some, but I estimate it to be around 30 million top-grade immortal crystals. Li Xiandao said with satisfaction, this deal is worth doing. Just finding one person will earn me 30 million top-grade immortal crystals. If I do a few more of these things, won't I make a fortune? Xiao Qi rolled her eyes at Li Xiandao and said, the chance of twins having two fathers is 1 in a million. You want to do it a few more times? You're dreaming. Li Xiandao smiled and also felt that the chances were too small, so he stopped discussing the matter. Less than 10 minutes later, sect leader Lu reappeared at the Heaven and Earth Bank, carrying a baby girl. The baby girl, nestled in the arms of the sect leader, neither cried nor fussed, but instead smiled, clutching the sect leader's clothes with both hands. Though only 2 days old, she was already quite active, exquisitely beautiful, like a porcelain doll, and it was clear that she would grow up to be just as beautiful as her mother. The sect leader looked at the baby girl with mixed feelings. On one hand, the baby was intelligent and adorable. Just this morning, he had been unable to put her down. She truly loves and cherishes her daughter from the bottom of her heart, believing that she is the daughter who was born after a long and difficult journey. However, in a short period of time, things took a turn for the worse, and one can imagine how complicated the feelings of the lawmaster must be now. How am I supposed to treat you? Sect leader Lu sighed. Looking at the baby girl's smile, his frustration dissipated somewhat. He decided to stop thinking about it and carried the baby girl directly into the trading hall. Lord of the bank, I have brought a child, said Master Lu, placing the baby girl on the table. Li Xiandao looked at the baby girl. She was very beautiful and adorable, and should have been enjoying endless love. However, because of her mother's messy actions, her future was now very uncertain. However, this has nothing to do with Li Xiandao. He is not a saint, compassionate and empathetic. He is a businessman, driven by profit. Li Xiandao lifted the baby girl's clothes and gently touched her heart. Buzz. Ripples spread out, but Li Xiandao had chosen a painless procedure, so the baby girl just giggled and watched sect leader Lu, paying no attention to Li Xiandao's actions. A drop of essence blood slowly floated out from the baby girl's heart. The baby girl did not notice it at all, nor did she feel any pain. It did not harm anything. Li Xiandao even covered it with his clothes. Then he held the drop of blood essence and looked at Xiao Qi. I've counted them, and after conversion, there are 30 million top-grade immortal crystals, Xiao Qi nodded. Li Xiandao laughed and said, then let's sign the contract now. Once it's signed, I'll start helping you find this man. Xiao Qi immediately handed the contract to Li Xiandao. She was always quick to prepare contracts. Li Xiandao pushed the contract to the head of the law school, then looked at it with a smile. The headmaster decisively signed the contract without even glancing at it. He stared intently at Li Xiandao and said anxiously, hurry up, I can't wait to find out who that man is. Li Xiandao took the contract back with satisfaction, handed it to Xiao Qi, and then flicked his finger directly onto the drop of his heart's essence. Boom. A terrifying aura descended, erupted, and swept across the entire trading hall. The sect leader was startled. He instinctively picked up the baby girl and protected her to prevent her from getting hurt. Xiandao calmly replied, "Don't worry, Tiandi Qianzhuang will never harm its customers." The sect leader gradually calmed down. He first glanced at the baby girl, who was not frightened. Instead, she yawned in the sect leader's arms and was about to fall asleep. The Master of Laws silently adjusted the child to a more comfortable position, then looked at that drop of his heart's essence. Rumble. With the blessing of the power of the Heaven and Earth Bank, the essence and blood began to change continuously. Xiandao stood up, put his hands behind his back, and remained silent. This was the first time he had used the power of the Heaven and Earth Bank to track down someone. It should be successful. Xiandao remembered very clearly that the Heaven and Earth Money House had such capabilities. He just hadn't had the chance to use it before. Sure enough, the blood underwent a dramatic change the next second. Boom! The blood turned into a pool of blood mist, which was very beautiful. It evolved into a fairyland that was like a mist, very beautiful. The palaces stretched out, huge and magnificent, with supreme majesty, and they stood high in the sky. Xiandao didn't recognize this place, but sect leader Lu's pupils shrank, and he exclaimed in surprise, "This is the Celestial Court." Chapter 643 Sima Qingfeng. The exclamation of the sect leader made Xiandao realize where this enormous and imposing palace was. Celestial Court. The #1 power in the immortal realm. Although the Celestial Court is not as powerful as it once was, especially after the rebellion of Emperor Gaochen, which caused the Celestial Realm to lose 1,000 domains, greatly weakening the Celestial Court's strength and prestige. But even a starved camel is bigger than a horse. The Celestial Court is already #1, and everyone would agree on that. That's why the sect leader Lu cried out in disbelief when he saw the Celestial Court. The person who cuckolded him was actually from the Celestial Court. No wonder his wife couldn't resist the temptation. The people of the Celestial Court are far more noble than him. But so what if you're from the Celestial Court? Are kings and nobles born with a special destiny? I, the leader of the law sect, will risk my life to kill you. The sect leader's eyes were fierce. He was not intimidated, but rather his anger and killing intent were aroused. Are the physical bodies of the Celestial Court so remarkable? Does the Celestial Court allow people to cuckold others at will? Just because you're from the Celestial Court doesn't mean I should give way to you. Keep dreaming. I'll risk my life to bring you down, even if it means we both die. The sect leader of law stared intently at the blood mist, wanting to see who it was from the Celestial Court. Xiandao and Shao Qi stood together, watching silently. This was the first time Xiandao had seen the Celestial Court. It was enormous and magnificent, perched high above the 9 heavens, and rightfully the #1 power. The blood mist continued to change, peeking into one aspect of the Celestial Court, and then into its depths. A vast training ground lies deep within the Celestial Court, separated by time and space. In this training world, countless Celestial Court soldiers train diligently, without a trace of arrogance, for failure to train will result in their deaths. The Celestial Court's training grounds are where soldiers who train well become the backbone of the Celestial Court's Imperial Guard and Enforcement Team, Shao Qi said. Are the Celestial Court's Imperial Guards the ones commanded by Emperor Baiqiu? Xiandao asked. No, the tens of thousands of Imperial Guards under the command of Emperor Baiqiu were not trained by the Celestial Court itself. These tens of thousands of Imperial Guards were recruited by the Celestial Court from outside. They belong to the weakest batch of Imperial Guards. They can act arrogantly in the northern underworld, but they are not worth mentioning in other domains, Shao Qi said, shaking his head. The sect leader watched silently, his eyes cold. The blood mist continued to shift, penetrating deeper into the Celestial Court's training grounds, and among thousands of people, it locked onto one person. A young man. He was dressed in silver-white fish-scale armor, with a handsome face, sharp eyes, and an extraordinary aura. He was extremely powerful. Even through the blood mist, One could see that he was incredibly strong. "It's him," Li Xiandao said in a deep voice. The headmaster's eyes narrowed. He had finally seen the person who had cuckolded him. "Who is this person?" Sect leader Lu asked in a deep voice, his killing intent extremely strong even across a distance of trillions of miles. "Sima Qingfeng, Deputy Commander of the Celestial Court's Imperial Guards." The last line of text condensed from the blood mist revealed the identity of this person to sect leader Lu. The blood mist suddenly faded and evaporated, as if nothing had ever happened. "Sima Qingfeng." Sect leader Lu gritted his teeth and roared angrily. "The deputy commander of the Celestial Court's Imperial Guards looks very powerful," Li Xiandao said. "They are quite powerful. The Celestial Court's Imperial Guard has 3 commanders and 18 deputy commanders, each of whom is a master in their own right. They are far beyond what you can handle," Xiao Qi said to sect leader Lu. The sect leader's face was gloomy as he said, "This grudge must be avenged. I will do everything in my power to kill him." Li Xiandao looked at him, a sudden smirk playing on his lips, and said, "Our contract is now complete. I gave you the answer you wanted, and you gave me 30 million top-grade immortal crystals." Master Lu nodded. He had received information about the person who had cuckolded him, and Li Xiandao had fulfilled his promise. "Are you interested in moving on to the next contract?" Li Xiandao asked with a smirk. The sect leader was taken aback, then looked at Li Xian with delight and asked, "Can we proceed with the next contract?" "Of course, as long as you can afford it, I can do anything for you," Li Xiandao said with a smirk, offering enticing words. "Anything," Master Lu murmured as if possessed, looking at Li Xiandao, then clapped his hands and said firmly, "I'm going to start the next contract." "What do you want to discuss in the next contract?" Li Xiandao asked, sitting down in his seat and looking at Master Lu. "I want the Heaven and Earth Bank to help me kill this Sima Qingfeng," sect leader Lu said viciously. Li Xiandao was not intimidated. Instead, he laughed and said, "He is the deputy commander of the Celestial Court's Imperial Guard. He has a noble status and great strength. I can help you kill him, but what price are you willing to pay?" The sect leader pondered for a moment, seemingly lost in thought, then gritted his teeth and said, "I can risk my life for you." Li Xiandao remained unmoved, raised a finger and shook it, saying, "Not enough." Sima Qingfeng was merely a coward. He was not even in the same league. "I haven't finished yet. I know it's not enough. I have something else to say," the sect leader said confidently. Li Xiandao looked at him, raised an eyebrow, and remained silent, waiting to see what the other thing was. "I'll work for you my whole life." Master Lu raised a finger. "My family, the Lu family, has been the head of the Heavenly Dao Sword sect for hundreds of generations. Each generation has the habit of storing treasures to leave to future generations for unforeseen needs," said Headmaster Lu, adding that this was thanks to the foresight of their ancestors. Li Xiandao watched silently. A treasure accumulated over hundreds of generations is in a hidden place. I can retrieve it and hand it all over to you. Sect leader Lu raised his second finger. Li Xiandao's 5 fingers fell evenly on the table, making a sound like galloping horses. Hearing this, he stopped moving his fingers and asked, "How many treasures have you accumulated over 100 generations?" Converted to immortal crystals, it's about 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals. Sect leader Lu said proudly. Li Xiandao blinked, his heart fluttering. "Xiao Qi, prepare the contract. Write on the contract that since sect leader Lu has brought these treasures, the Heaven and Earth Bank will help him kill Sima Qingfeng within 10 years. Li Xiandao said decisively. Sect leader Lu's face lit up with joy. As for the 10 years that Li Xiandao mentioned, it was a very short time for cultivators, just like 10 days for an ordinary person. Sect leader Lu had no objection at all. Okay. Xiao Qi prepared the contract and handed it to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao pushed the contract to sect leader Lu and said, "You can sign it, and then you'll lose your freedom for the rest of your life, as well as the treasure." Of course, you can also use the 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals to cultivate and improve yourself, and then go and kill Sima Qingfeng. The sect leader shook his head and said bitterly, although I have the sword bone, if cultivation were so easy, whoever has more resources could improve rapidly. Even if I raised my cultivation to the point where I could kill Sima Qingfeng, it would take at least 10,000 years. I can't bear to watch Sima Qingfeng live a carefree life for 10,000 years. The sect leader wanted Sima Qingfeng dead. He could wait 10 years for Xiandao, but he couldn't wait 10,000 years for himself. The thought of the person who had cuckolded him so badly enjoying a carefree life for 10,000 years made him furious. Besides, if he works hard to improve, won't Sima Qingfeng improve as well 10,000 years later? Whether we can win then is still a question. The headmaster didn't want to take that risk. He planned to use the power of the Heaven and Earth Bank to securely kill Sima Qingfeng. Chapter 644 Falcon. The headmaster of the Law Society decisively signed the contract. He was capable of anything for revenge. Holding the contract, Xiandao looked at the neat signature on it and said, "Within 10 years, this Sima Qingfeng will undoubtedly die. My wonderful life was ruined by this adulterous couple, and the lives of my 2 children were also ruined by them. Now one of them committed suicide to atone for his sins, while the other is living a carefree life. I must make him die," the sect leader of law said coldly, holding the baby girl. Xiandao knew that this was the greatest humiliation for a man, and he was determined to take revenge. He didn't say anything, but looked at the baby girl in the arms of the sect leader Lu and asked, "What do you plan to do with this child?" The sect leader was taken aback, looking at the baby girl sleeping peacefully in his arms. She trusted him so much, and even in her sleep she had a gentle smile on her face, which was very charming and cute. The sect leader was extremely conflicted. If this baby girl were his daughter, he would absolutely spoil her rotten and not allow anyone to harm her. But she isn't. Her existence brought great shame to Master Lu. Even if it has nothing to do with the baby girl, it's the adult's mistake. However, the sect leader still couldn't treat her as his own daughter. "I will find her a good family to raise her properly and ensure she lives a peaceful life," said Master Lu in a deep voice. This was his final act of mercy. Xiandao looked at the baby girl, a glint of light flashing in his eyes, and carefully observed her. Suddenly, Xiandao saw a huge amount of energy accumulating within the baby girl's body. It was extremely powerful. "Xiaoqi, go and check what kind of constitution this baby girl has," Xiandao said in a deep voice. Xiaoqi immediately went over, picked up the baby girl, and began to examine her. The sect leader looked at Xiandao with a bewildered expression, not knowing what had happened. "This baby girl was conceived and born at the same time as your son, so she is definitely not an ordinary child," Xiandao said softly. After examining her, Xiaoqi exclaimed in surprise, "This girl has a Yin constitution." "What is the Tai Yin body?" Xiandao asked, raising an eyebrow. The sect leader watched silently. When all things reach an extreme, there is a distinction between Yin and Yang. Tai Yin and Tai Yang are 2 extremes, yet they complement each other. The Tai Yin body can only appear in women, and the Tai Yang body can only appear in men. They are both unparalleled physiques. Once they reach their peak, they are absolutely heaven-defying masters, Xiaoqi explained. Xiandao looked at the baby girl and said, "So if this baby girl is raised properly, her future is limitless?" "Yes, and we happen to have the Tai Yin True Scripture, a secret manual passed down by the former Tai Yin Immortal King. If we train this child according to this manual, he will definitely become a top expert in just a few years." Xiaoqi nodded. Xiandao pondered for a moment, not making a decision immediately. He looked at sect leader Lu and asked, "What's your opinion?" The sect leader knew what Xiandao meant by those words. This baby girl is exceptionally talented. If properly nurtured, she will surely become an unparalleled master. However, her existence is a great disgrace to the law master. Does the church agree to train her? Master, since she has the Yin constitution, she is worth nurturing. Now that we only know about her birth, Let's not tell her. Let's just tell her that her parents are dead and she is an orphan. That way, we will be absolutely safe, said Master Lu, looking at Xiandao. Then so be it. This baby girl will stay at the Heaven and Earth Bank and be raised by us. Perhaps in a few years, she will destroy the celestial court with her own hands. Xiandao clapped his hands and made his decision. What is the name of this baby girl? Xiao Qi asked the sect leader. The old name is no longer important. Master and Miss Xiaoqi can choose one themselves, to give her a new life, said sect leader Lu, shaking his head. Xiaoqi looked at Xiandao. Xiandao pondered for a moment and said, from now on, she will be called who? Xiaoqi was puzzled by the origin of the name. The autumn birds fly away, and the weary birds return to their nests. I hope that she can dedicate her life to the Heaven and Earth Bank and become a powerful tool for the Heaven and Earth Bank to the outside world. From now on, she will be called Miss Hu. Xiandao explained. Yes, I will take good care of this Miss Hu. I will also teach her the Tai-Yin true scripture. With the time hall around at the Heaven and Earth Bank, she will grow up very quickly. Xiao Qi nodded, holding Miss Hu and looking at her affectionately. The poor child was born with original sin because of her parents. Fortunately, she encountered the Heaven and Earth Money House, and the head of the law sect was a good person who did not kill her. I'm relieved that Miss Hu is at the Heaven and Earth Bank. Master and Miss Xiao Qi, I'll be leaving now. Sect leader Lu bid farewell. Okay, you go back first and help the Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest obtain that treasure. Then go and get those 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals. After that, you can cultivate in my Heaven and Earth Bank. Xiandao nodded, arranging the future path for sect leader Lu. The sect leader asked in surprise, that prince from the northern border and the old Taoist priest are also your subordinates? Xiandao nodded and said, they joined my sect earlier than you, and their talent is much higher than yours. They are the key figures in whether you can eliminate Sima Qingfeng in the future. If you make good connections in advance, you will have someone to take care of you in the Heaven and Earth Bank. All right, I've got it. Sect leader Lu nodded firmly, keeping Xiandao's words in mind, and planned to go find the Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest as soon as he got out. Go! Xiandao waved his sleeve, and the body of the sect leader Lu disappeared without a trace, like mist. Xiandao walked to Xiao Qi's side, glanced at Hu, and said, from now on, Hu will become your disciple. You will teach her cultivation and how to conduct herself in society. I hope that she can become a powerful subordinate for my Tiandi Qianzhuang as soon as possible. Xiao Qi chuckled softly and said, don't worry, our Miss Hu has a Yin constitution and is absolutely powerful. She will give you a surprise soon. All right, I'll wait and see. Xiandao smiled and, without disturbing Xiao Qi, left the trading hall and entered the inheritance hall to continue his cultivation. On the other side, Xiao Qi carried Hu into the Universal Library, found the original copy of the Tai-Yin True Scripture, and then returned to her room to take care of Hu. She directly implanted the entire Tai-Yin True Scripture into Hu's body. You are of the Tai-Yin Constitution. This Tai-Yin True Scripture contains the complete inheritance of the Tai-Yin Immortal King, which is perfect for you. Absorb it well and grow up quickly. Xiao Qi looked at the unconscious Hu, smiled, picked him up, and walked towards the time hall. Where would be the most suitable place to merge with the legacy of a celestial king? The Hall of Time. Inside the Hall of Time, under Xiao Qi's guidance, the dragon began to grow. Xiandao was unaware of all this. He continued his cultivation, consolidating his Shenxian realm and striving for further breakthroughs. From chapter 645 onwards, we'll have your back. When Master Lu returned to the Heavenly Sword sect, he was all alone and coldly told people that he had sent the baby girl away and that she would live an ordinary life. Subsequently, witnessed by the elders, the sect leader resigned from his position as the sect leader of the Heavenly Dao Sword sect and passed the position to his son. However, because he was still young, he asked the 4 grand elders to help take care of him. Despite everyone's attempts to persuade him to stay, sect leader Lu had made up his mind, and no one could interfere with him. Having caused such a huge incident, only by leaving the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect can I take this humiliation with me. The Heavenly Tao Sword Sect cannot be tarnished by me. I urge all elders to assist my son well. He is born with sword bones and his future is limitless. He is more talented than I am. Sect leader Lu bowed deeply to the elders of the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect. The elders sighed deeply. It was a terrible tragedy. A sect leader had been ruined because of a woman. They also knew that this scandal was too big. If sect leader Lu continued to remain in his position, then he would follow him for life, and he would also follow the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect for life. Therefore, Master Lu did the right thing. He shirked his responsibility and left with humiliation. He glanced at his son. The Heavenly Tao Sword Sect was the responsibility of the Lu family, and now this responsibility could only wait until he grew up. Farewell, everyone. Sect leader Lu bowed deeply and then strode away. The elders sighed, feeling very reluctant to part with it. Unlike the infighting and power struggles of other sects, the position of leader of the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect has always been held by someone from the Lu family. If it is not held by someone from the Lu family, the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect will exist in name only. The bloodline of the Lu family is the soul of the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect, while these elders are the bones of the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect. Therefore, the sect leader Lu cannot take his son with him. This child must grow up in the Heavenly Sword Sect and then fulfill the responsibility that his bloodline brought him. The sect leader of the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect has left. Now, the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect is supervised and managed by 4 grand elders. When this news spread, many people shook their heads and sighed, feeling that it was not worth it for sect leader Lu. A woman's mistake destroyed a family and the Heavenly Sword Sect. Of course, many people are speculating about who the adulterer is. There were many conflicting opinions, and the situation was very chaotic. The sect leader ignored all these rumors. He was no longer the sect leader of the Heavenly Tao Sword Sect. Now he was his master's subordinate and a man seeking revenge. Near the ancient battlefield, the Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest were looking at each other, bewildered. Master of Laws. They never expected that the troublesome sect leader would come looking for them. Sect leader LV, you're looking for us? The Northern Prince asked curiously. Yes, we don't know each other, do we? The old Taoist priest asked, puzzled. Sect leader Lu smiled slightly and said, My master asked me to assist you too in obtaining the opportunities in the ancient battlefield and improving yourselves. Owner. The Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest looked at the lawmaster in surprise, then exclaimed with delight, You've entered the Heaven and Earth Bank? Did your master agree to take you in? The old Taoist priest asked. Yes, I made a deal with my master, selling my entire life to him, so now we are all his subordinates, Master Lu nodded. That's great, come in and we'll talk. The Northern Prince's impression of Master Lu improved significantly, and he skillfully invited Master Lu to come in and sit down. Since we are all under the master's command, we should work together. No matter what we are doing, our goal is to serve the master. The Prince of the Northern Border laughed heartily. His scholarly spirit was now somewhat bold. He opened a pot of wine and invited the 2 of them to drink. The sect leader and the old Taoist priest did not hesitate. He drank it all in one gulp. What kind of contract did you sign with your master that you've staked your entire life on? The old Taoist priest asked curiously. I asked my master to kill that adulterer for me, the Master of Laws said through gritted teeth. Brother, don't worry. Since master has agreed to your request, that adulterer is doomed. I've followed master since then and witnessed countless impossible things happen under his command. You'll definitely be glad you followed master from now on, the Northern Prince said with a slight smile. He called Master Lu brother, and he wasn't wrong. Both the Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest were older than the Master of Laws. However, they had spent a lot of time in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, which was not as long as the Master of Laws had been cultivating in the immortal realm. That is why there was a big difference in their cultivation levels. But it didn't matter. Both of them were extremely confident in themselves and didn't feel any envy. Before long, they would be able to reach the cultivation level of the lawmaster. Of course I trust my master, sect leader Lu said firmly. He had never seen such an elusive way of entering the heaven and earth bank before, so how could he not trust him? Do you know what treasures are in that ancient battlefield? The old Taoist priest asked curiously. I know a little bit. This battlefield was caused by two ancient demon gods fighting back then. Countless soldiers died, but the ancient demon gods were unharmed. Because so many people died, this place was full of killing intent tens of thousands of years ago, and it was much more dangerous than it is now. Even I, at the Shenxian realm, dare not go in. Once I encounter danger, I will definitely not be able to come out, sect leader Lu explained. This is also because the killing intent has weakened in recent years. I went in once before and saw a Taoist demon god inside, said sect leader Lu. A Taoist demon god? The old Taoist priest's expression shifted. Every era has its own unique characteristics. Demon god. This is a characteristic of an era. It doesn't mean that a fixed type of person becomes a demon god. Rather, once one's cultivation reaches a certain level, regardless of whether you cultivate Buddhism, Taoism, demonism, or any other type, you can all be called a demon god. The Taoist demon god refers to a supreme Taoist master whose cultivation reached the level of a demon god, thus earning the title of demon god. That's why the old Taoist priest paid attention. He himself is a Taoist practitioner, following the principle of harmony between heaven and man, and walking the orthodox Taoist path. Therefore, Taoist demons and gods would be of great help to him. If there were any treasures or inheritances of Taoist demons and gods, that would be the greatest surprise for the old Taoist. The Prince of the North is the same. The Great Tao treasure bottle he cultivated also contained Taoist classics, so the Taoist tradition was also helpful to him. In a few more days, this ancient battlefield will open. When we go in, we'll find something suitable for us and make our move, the Northern Prince said firmly. Well, for the sake of this opportunity, I don't want to keep a low profile anymore. I can break through to the 6th level of the celestial immortal realm in the next few days. The old Taoist nodded. Don't worry, both of you, I'll help you too. If there are any opponents you can't handle, I'll step in, sect leader Lu volunteered. Good. The Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest looked at the Master of Laws with newfound respect. Brother, from now on at Chendi Money House, we two brothers will protect you. No one will bully you, said the Prince of the Northern Border. Chapter 646 Taoist Demon God. Despite the 10-day deadline, the ancient battlefield remained abuzz with tension and killing intent, making it impossible for ordinary people to enter. So the Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest are still waiting. During this time, an interesting thing happened at the Chendi Money Exchange. Xiandao was consolidating his cultivation level on the back mountain of the Inheritance Hall when Xiao called him down. When he arrived at the square, he saw a beautiful stranger. She exudes youthful energy, has fair skin and a beautiful face, and possesses a capable and efficient demeanor. Her long black hair is styled into a single ponytail, and she wears a long red dress. Her figure is slender and curvaceous, making her a truly stunning beauty. But Xiandao frowned and asked, "Who are you?" Xiandao had never seen this person at the Heaven and Earth money shop. "Greetings, master." The beautiful woman bowed to Xiandao. Xiandao looked at him in surprise and asked, "Are you Miss Zhou?" "Yes, thank you for the name you gave me, master." Miss Gu smiled sweetly and nodded to Xiandao. "Where's Xiao?" Xiandao asked, looking left and right. "Master is tidying things up," the girl replied. Xiandao put his hands behind his back and carefully examined the beauty in front of him. Just one day ago, she was a baby, someone you could hold in your arms. A day later, she had blossomed into a stunningly beautiful young woman. This change left Xiandao somewhat dazed. "Did Xiao take you to the Hall of Time?" Xiandao asked. Only the Grand Hall that controls time could cause such a change within the Heaven and Earth Bank. "Yes, my master led me through 1,000 years in the Hall of Time." During those 1,000 years, I absorbed the legacy of the Tai-Yin Immortal King, so I know everything. Thank you for your help, Master. Miss Zhou bowed again to express her gratitude. Xiao Qi recounted the events of that year concisely and to the point, without omitting or embellishing anything, simply stating the facts to Hu. The pheasant also learned about its origins. Xiao Qi originally didn't plan to tell her, but Miss Mao was more sensible than she thought. In the 1,000 years they had spent together, Xiao Qi had come to regard Mao as her apprentice and her daughter, so she told her everything. This went against the wishes of Master Lu and Immortal Li, but Xiao Qi felt it was worth doing. After learning everything, Miss Gu didn't react much. She just said dejectedly, I used to want to find my biological parents, but now it seems I don't need to anymore. From now on, I'll stay with Master and Mother. You are my closest person. Xiao Qi smiled with satisfaction upon hearing this. Then she realized that if Miss Gu was calling her mother here, then should she call Li Xiandao father from now on? Xiao Qi blushed slightly at the thought. After listening to Miss Gu's introduction and observing her cultivation level, Li Xiandao realized she was at the peak of the celestial immortal realm. 1,000 years later, after absorbing the legacy of the Tai-Yin Immortal King, she began to cultivate and her progressed rapidly. The power of an immortal king's legacy was fully demonstrated in her. If Xiao Qi hadn't worried that her rapid advancement would give rise to inner demons and lead her astray, she would still be galloping away on horseback, never to return. How about it? My masterpiece, aren't you surprised? Just as Li Xiandao was surprised, Xiao Qi arrived, pointed at the stone, and said proudly. Having accompanied her for 1,000 years, watching her grow from an infant into the graceful young woman she is now, Xiao Qi feels very proud, as if her own daughter has grown up. That's why she proudly introduced it to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao looked at Xiao Qi with a half-smile. He nodded and said, It's very good. You've raised our daughter very well. I'll reward you. Pa. Xiao Qi glared at Li Xiandao in embarrassment and anger. Shameless. He's talking about our daughter. Don't try to claim any connection. Mu is my daughter now, not yours, Xiao Qiqiang said irritably, wrinkling her nose. If I hadn't carefully observed and discovered our daughter's differences, she would have been sent to an ordinary family by Master Lu long ago. Are you now turning your back on her? Li Xiandao protested, feeling that this was depriving him of his rights. I'm too lazy to argue with you. You've got a whole bunch of twisted logic. Xiao Qi couldn't win against Li Xiandao, so she simply stopped talking, grabbed the girl, and turned to leave. Li Xiandao didn't follow. He wasn't going to go with those two beauties. He would definitely teach Xiao Qi a lesson when she was alone, and show her what was what. With Miss Gu present, Li Xiandao gave her face and turned back to the back mountain of the inheritance hall to continue his cultivation. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the murderous aura of the ancient battlefield subsided. At least on the surface, it was much calmer and there was not as strong a sense of oppression as before. At this moment, everyone became eager to participate. There was no need to shout, "Start." Once the first person went in, the second would follow. Many people came to this ancient battlefield. It was a huge place, like a giant maze. Flying through the void was quite dangerous. Someone was cut into pieces while flying through the void, and the next second the whole village went to his house for dinner. The northern prince, the old Taoist priest, and the head of the law sect also followed the trend and entered this ancient battlefield. The ancient battlefield was vast. 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 So even though several thousand people came in, it was still quite spacious after they dispersed. Searching for treasure in such an open space feels like looking for a needle in a haystack. You don't even know where the treasure is, it's all down to luck. People from many factions split up to search, determined to find the treasures in this ancient battlefield. Once someone discovers it, they should immediately notify the others. Only by gathering together can we gain the upper hand. In the search for treasure, everyone used their unique skills and strategies, afraid of falling behind and missing out on the treasure. The Prince of the North and the old Taoist priest did not have such troubles. Because their team included a guide, named Master Lu, who was familiar with the ancient battlefield. The sect leader of the Law sect was previously the sect leader of the Heavenly Dao Sword sect. Naturally, he had entered this place to undergo trials and improve himself. He knew this place like the back of his hand, and he also knew where everything was. Knowing that the Northern Prince and the old Taoist priest were looking for that Taoist demon god, Master Lu immediately led them straight to a place that was different from the mainstream. This is very fast and saves a lot of time that would otherwise be wasted. The aura of that Taoist demon god and the Taoist artifacts are over there, but he should have left long ago, said sect leader Lu as he walked. It's all right, it's good to have some gains. If a master of the level of a Taoist demon god were really here, we wouldn't be able to get in. The old Taoist knew his own limitations. Yes, the real gain would be discovering the opponent's cultivation techniques or magical treasures, the Prince of the Northern Border said. The two followed Master Lu, swiftly traversing several mountains and entering a mountain valley. Upon arriving here, the avenue suddenly became much denser. It was imperceptible from the outside, but here, it felt as if it had materialized. We've come to the right place, the old Taoist priest said with delight. Chapter 647 The Clock. The mountain valley was shrouded in huge trees, lush and dark. The wind blowing through the valley carried a sinister air, adding an eerie touch to the darkness. Of course, this had no effect on the three old Taoist priests. They were all powerful and had comprehended the great principles of the world, so they would not care about these changes. The old Taoist priest absorbed the extremely rich Taoist aura of the world and said, "There must be Taoist treasures nearby, otherwise, such a rich Taoist aura here would be abnormal. This mountain valley can be seen at a glance. What treasure could there be?" The Prince of the Northern Border looked left and right, but still couldn't find anything. The mountain valley was filled with nothing but rocks and trees. Occasionally, some demonic beasts would occupy the valley, absorbing vast amounts of Tao energy to evolve themselves. For example, halfway up a mountain in a valley, there is a giant python, its entire body blood red. It has already become a spirit and is just one step away from becoming an immortal. In the 9 heavens and 10 earths, it would definitely be a big shot, but in the immortal realm, it is just a little demon. At this moment, it lacked the domineering aura of a demon beast. Instead, it became timid and trembling, shrinking its body until it became a snake demon as thick as a finger, and then hid in a crevice in the rocks. The demon beast, having become a spirit, could sense danger. As soon as the three old Taoists entered, it felt its whole body go numb, as if facing a formidable enemy, and began to tremble. If it hadn't been clever enough not to roar immediately but to hide itself, it would have been beaten back to its original form long ago. The prototype of sperm. The three old Taoist priests didn't care about these demons. As long as you stay quiet and don't disturb them, everything will be fine. In the mountain valley that could be seen at a glance, sect leader Lu pointed and asked, "Could the treasure you're talking about be that?" The old Taoist priest and the Prince of the Northern Border looked over together and were very surprised. On one side of the valley is a huge mountain wall, covered with moss and vines, making it impossible to see what's inside. However, upon closer inspection, the mountain wall appears as a mirror from top to bottom, perfectly smooth and even. The Prince of the North immediately took action. "I cleared away all these vines and moss." Swish, swish, swish. He moved very quickly, using his great magical power to sweep away the vines and moss like a brush. The mountain wall revealed its true appearance. A giant mirror appeared before the old Taoist priest and the head of the Law sect. The mountain wall is transparent, pure, and stands upright, without any protrusions or grooves. It is as perfect as a mirror. The figures of the Northern Prince, the old Taoist priest, and the head of the Law sect were reflected on the mountain wall, appearing lifelike. Such a pristine mountain wall could never have been formed naturally, the Northern Prince exclaimed in delight. This was left behind by a Taoist deity. Over the years, its original brilliance has been obscured. Now, thanks to our discovery, it has revealed its true form, the old Taoist priest said excitedly. "Is this a magical artifact, or just a giant mountain wall?" Sect leader Lu was a little unsure. It's a mountain wall, but there's a magical artifact hidden inside. The old Taoist priest stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "You practice authentic Taoist techniques, so take out the magic treasures inside," said the prince of the northern border. He did not try to snatch the Taoist demon god's magic treasures from the old Taoist. They are all under the master's command. The master will surely bestow magical treasures upon them in the future, and no one will lack anything. The prince of the northern border has followed Xiandao for so long, so he has no worries about this. Moreover, wouldn't the old Taoist priest share the magic treasure with him? The northern prince's magnanimity earned him high regard from sect leader Lu. He could give up the Taoist demon god's magic weapon without batting an eye, which was astonishing. If the prince of the north knew, he would definitely laugh. The relationship wasn't actually as good as he thought. They were all his subordinates, and their confidence in him was what made them so open-minded. The old Taoist priest walked up to the mountain wall, reached out and touched it. The mountain wall was hard, cold, and exuded a chilling aura, which immediately lowered the temperature of one of his arms. The old Taoist priest closed his eyes, and the Taoist aura within his body spread out. Behind him, a huge time wheel appeared, with 3 layers superimposed, all surrounded by the Taoist aura of time. The old Taoist priest had always been comprehension of the laws of time. From the very beginning, his lifespan was far longer than others, something that no law could possibly achieve. Only the law of time applies. When he was in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, his lifespan exceeded 80,000 years, approaching 100,000 years. You should know that even true immortals do not have a lifespan of 80,000 years. Only a peak celestial immortal has a lifespan of 80,000 years. The old Taoist priest now has a lifespan of 300,000 years, enough to outlive several generations. The old Taoist priest always kept a low profile. He was focused on comprehending the great Tao of time, and he was also the one among Li Xiandao's subordinates who most liked to go to the Time Palace. He can better comprehend the laws of time in the Hall of Time. His lifespan is so long that he can't even finish it himself. Wouldn't it be a waste not to consume some of it? Now a massive time will appear behind him, several times larger than himself, with 3 layers stacked on top of each other, but not at the same time, but intersecting, with countless time codes surging. The old Taoist priest had a cold expression, his body floated up, his hair flew, and he reached out and touched the mountain wall. Boom! The enormous time wheel behind him, its time code rapidly spreading, surging and erupting, engulfing the mountainside in an instant. The green time code rushed into the mountain wall, but it did not cause a huge disturbance. Instead, it softened the mountain wall, splitting the massive mountain wall into several parts and revealing the core. A giant clock. Tick-tock. In the center of the mountain wall is a huge clock that emits a clear chime. It had always been fixed, but stimulated by the old Taoist priest, it has now begun to revive. Rumble. The flow of time within 100 meters of the old Taoist priest had changed, completely different from the time recorded by the northern prince, Master Lu. The old Taoist priest's time moved extremely slowly. From the outside, it would only take him a second to raise his hand, but it took the prince of the northern border and the headmaster of the law sect half an hour to watch. In half an hour, he completed the action of raising his hand. Moreover, this is the effect caused by the reflection of time. He's not in the same time period as us right now, sect leader Lu said in surprise, looking at the old Taoist priest. He hadn't expected that the old Taoist priest had actually comprehended the legendary and extremely difficult great Tao of time, and had even reached a relatively profound level. Now, the old Taoist priest has even obtained a magical artifact from an ancient Taoist demon god. Clock. The old Taoist priest's future can no longer be limited. What's even more terrifying is that even if you want to kill him, he can hide in time. Someone who is not proficient in timing has no way of killing the old Taoist priest. The prince of the northern border looked on with envy and said, "Now he has become the most powerful person under the master's command." They exposed the great Tao of time and even obtained a magical artifact like the clock. It's absolutely terrifying. Neither the monk Tianxin nor Lucifer and others could compare to the old Taoist priest. Chapter 648 Parting Ways. Time flowed on, and the old Taoist priest frantically meditated within, slowly merging with the clock. He grew at a terrifying rate. Behind him, the wheel of time kept turning, and the code of time was boiling, entering the old Taoist's body. The old Taoist priest began to progress rapidly, but time passed very slowly in the outside world. The Prince of the Northern Territory and the Master of Laws looked at the old Taoist priest as if he were watching a movement slowed down thousands of times. However, this is a visual difference. In reality, the old Taoist's time is tens of thousands of times faster than theirs, so a simple gesture like raising a hand would appear very, very slow in the present time. For the old Taoist priest, such a change was very simple. So you are the treasure of the time demon god, the cosmic clock. The old Taoist priest murmured to himself as he looked at the clock before him. The four directions and the space above and below are called the universe, and the past and present are called the cosmos. The ancient sages' interpretation of the word universe corresponds to time. A cosmic clock is a large clock that represents time. Now, the old Taoist priest also knows who the Taoist demon god who fought here before is. Time demon. He entered the Tao through time, roamed freely at the level of a demon god, and exhausted his life's efforts to forge the cosmic clock. In that battle, he hid the cosmic clock here, but disappeared without a trace. Many years later, an old Taoist priest, also from the Taoist school and having comprehended the great Tao of time, came and found the cosmic clock hidden in the mountain wall. At this moment, countless insights from the time demon god regarding the great Tao of time spread, immersing the old Taoist priest in them. He entered a state of enlightenment and, like the maiden, received the inheritance of the immortal king, allowing her to soar 1,000 miles in an instant. The old Taoist priest was the same. He received the inheritance of the time demon god and also flew 1,000 miles in an instant. And this rapid progress is accelerated within a certain time frame. Within a mere 100 meters, the acceleration of time was already astonishing. This acceleration was caused by the old Taoist's own abilities. 2 hours had passed outside, and the time-related anomalies surrounding the old Taoist priest slowly faded. He opened his eyes, and the eyes, which were filled with time codes, lost their luster, turning into extremely simple pupils. He smiled slightly, and the huge time wheel behind him slowly dissipated. The next second, the cosmic clock also merged into his heart. The old Taoist priest absorbed the time demon god's legacy without any trouble or trials. In fact, the process of obtaining the cosmic clock is a test. A descendant of Taoism. The great way of time. We've arrived. At a specific time, in a specific place, and under specific conditions. What more needs to be tested for someone who possesses these qualities? The time demon doesn't set any tests. If you meet all the conditions, even if you are a heinous demon king, you will get the cosmic clock. What the big shots value is never character, but opportunity. The item is right here. If you can get it, it's yours. The old Taoist priest let out a long sigh, reached out and reversed the timeline, making it spin and return to the normal timeline. He looked at the Northern Prince and the headmaster of the law sect and smiled. You've broken through to the profound immortal realm? Sect leader Lu exclaimed in surprise. He discovered that he couldn't see through the old Taoist's cultivation level. This is terrifying. He is a Xianxian, and a master who has deeply penetrated the Xianxian realm. But he still couldn't see through the old Taoist priest. How powerful must that old Taoist priest be? I just accelerated time. Having spent 5,000 years inside and absorbed the legacy of the time demon god, it's perfectly normal for him to break through, the old Taoist priest explained. Impressive. Now you're the most powerful person under your master's command. The Northern Prince was filled with envy and jealousy. We all came out together, broke through to the celestial realm together, and agreed to progress together, but you secretly activated a time cheat, and advanced by leaps and bounds. The Prince of the Northern Border was determined to find something even more powerful than the time cheat. Otherwise he would not be able to get over this. Let's go. There's nothing else in this ancient battlefield. We should go somewhere else to train, the old Taoist said. He knew from the time demon god's inheritance that the only precious thing in this ancient battlefield was the cosmic clock. Everything else was insignificant. I should also go and fetch the things for my master, the sect leader remarked. Having witnessed the old Taoist's incredible abilities, he had even higher expectations for Xiandao's other subordinates. Therefore, he wanted to take the 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals accumulated by his ancestors, hand them over to Xiandao, and wholeheartedly submit to Xiandao. We should part ways. Your clock is not suitable for me, and I have not yet comprehended the great Tao of time. I should go find my own opportunity, the Northern Prince said in a deep voice. He feels a sense of urgency right now. Back in the 9 heavens and 10 earths era, he was one of Xiandao's top experts. I wouldn't dare say he was number 1, but he was definitely in the top 5. However, now that he has entered the immortal realm, although he has also improved, it is insignificant compared to the old Taoist priest. The old Taoist priest obtained the clock, the monk Tianxin, Lucifer, and the moon angel, the blood dragon, the dragon crocodile, and so on. They must have all had their own opportunities and made great progress. If I continue to improve myself slowly like this, I am very likely to be left behind and forgotten by my master. The prince of the northern border felt very heavy-hearted. It wasn't just for himself, but also for Qiu Bai. Qiu Bai, the white moonlight in his heart, is also striving to become stronger. He needs to become stronger to be worthy of her. If he is abandoned by his master and cannot keep up with the progress of the old Taoist priests, he will definitely receive very few resources in the future. We must become stronger. The old Taoist priest knew the northern prince's anxiety. In fact, all of Li Xiandao's men felt the same way. Anyone who doesn't want to be marginalized by Li Xiandao will be very anxious and wish they could break through once a day. Individually, they would be unparalleled powerhouses who could suppress an entire era, invincible geniuses. But now that they've come together, the sparks generated by the collision of these geniuses are huge. If you don't work hard, you will be left behind. In terms of talent, no one is inferior. If others put in 200% effort and you put in 100%, it's normal for you to fall behind. 3 people, 3 directions, left this ancient battlefield and went their separate ways. The sect leader went to retrieve the 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals accumulated by his ancestors over generations. The old Taoist priest went to a place to calm himself down and continue to break through and absorb the vast ocean of the time god. The prince of the northern border, alone and carrying the tragic spirit of the wind howls, the river is cold, the hero departs, never to return, went to seek his own opportunity. Inside the heaven and earth bank, Li Xiandao saw the 3 people's choices and nodded in satisfaction. To become a member of the heaven and earth bank, one must work twice as hard. It's all about talent. Everyone here has talent. If you don't work hard, you'll be abandoned. Even Tian Guangming became powerful because of his hard work, Li Xiandao muttered to himself. If Tian Guangming heard this, he would definitely feel offended. He would rather Li Xiandao say that he was exceptionally talented but didn't work hard than hear that he wasn't talented but rose to prominence through hard work. His talent is definitely greater than that of monk Tianxin. Chapter 649 People from 500,000 years ago. The old Taoist priest and the prince of the northern border split up. The headmaster of the law sect went to find the treasures left by his ancestors, while inside the heaven and earth bank, Miss who was also diligently cultivating. Everything was going well, and Li Xiandao was just waiting for sect leader Lu to bring him 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals so that he could use them to break through to the next realm. Li Xiandao has only reached the first level of the 7th level of the Shenxian realm. Of course, realm and actual combat power are different. Li Xiandao dares to say that he is now one of the top 2 in the Shenxian realm. That's still a very modest way of putting it. That's no modesty of Li Xiandao. He dares to say that he is invincible in the Shenxian realm. Jin Pin has now entered the heaven and earth bank and is in seclusion cultivating. He has broken through to the Shenxian realm, but not the 1st level, but the 4th level. However, he couldn't even withstand a single sword strike from Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao's entire swordsmanship is embodied in the sword technique. I am a human immortal slayer. There were 9 swords in total, and even a gold-grade swordsman couldn't withstand a single one of them, which shows how powerful Li Xiandao is now. Li Xiandao originally intended to continue his seclusion until sect leader Lu brought him 10 billion top-grade immortal crystals. But things didn't go as planned. The customers of Qiandi Money Shop had no idea that Li Xiandao was in seclusion, and they came without warning. When the guests arrived, Shao Qi woke Li Xiandao up. "We have guests." Li Xiandao opened his eyes, got up, and left the inheritance hall. The most urgent task is to manage the heaven and earth money shop well. Cultivation is not the priority. Customers are the priority. Mr. Li clearly distinguishes between primary and secondary priorities. Upon returning from the inheritance hall, Li Xiandao saw Shao Qi and Miss Jiu. She had truly become Shao Qi's daughter, following her around like a little tag-along. "What is the background of this guest?" Li Xiandao asked curiously. "It's a guest recommended by the Moon Angel," Shao Qi said. Li Xiandao asked in surprise, "Has the Moon Angel started recommending guests too?" Previously, it was Monk Tianxin who recommended the guests, and now it's Angel Yu recommending them. It seems they've encountered quite a few opportunities since leaving. "Yes, and this guest is the same type of guest recommended by Monk Tianxin," Shao Qi added. "Or does he have the golden body of Buddha inside him?" Li Xiandao raised an eyebrow. "There are some health issues, but it's not the golden body of Buddha," Shao Qi said, shaking his head. "Oh, it looks like something different. Interesting. Has the person arrived yet?" Li Xiandao asked. "I've already crushed the pocket watch. Just wait a moment, we'll be there soon," Shao Qi said. Li Xiandao nodded, walked to his seat, sat down, closed his eyes to rest, and waited for the new guests. He casually asked, "Where is the Moon Angel now?" Li Xiandao has been paying close attention to the old Taoist priest and the prince of the northern border these past few days, but he hasn't been paying much attention to the archangels and doesn't know where they are. Shao Qi replied, "Like Wu Xian'er, Moon Angel left the northern underworld and went to other regions to seek her own opportunities. This time, she went to the ancient domain." Ancient domain? Li Xiandao silently memorized this place. Ancient domain. This place lives up to its name, with many ancient legends and relics. The ancient domain is vast, and its immortal energy is incredibly dense, at least 30 times stronger than that of the northern underworld domain, and perhaps even more. The Moon Angel, guided by the moonlight, arrived here. Her cultivation level improved so quickly that it far exceeded everyone's expectations at the Heaven and Earth Bank. Moon Angel 1 is already at the 7th level of the mystic immortal realm. A true peak of the mystic immortal realm. On one hand, the Moon Angels arrived in a region with more abundant celestial energy. On the other hand, it also fully erupted after she entered the immortal realm. In the 9 heavens and 10 earths, she was one of the top 10 experts under Li Xiandao, but her potential was not exhausted. On the contrary, she kept working on her divine core until she entered the immortal realm, where she was the first to achieve 100% integration with her divine core. His cultivation progressed rapidly, as if he were flying, constantly climbing higher. In just half a year, he reached the peak of the 7th level of the profound immortal realm. This is also why the Moon Angel dared to come to the ancient realm. The ancient realm is rich in treasures, relics, and secret artifacts, which has led to a fierce and valiant local culture where the strong are revered. Moon Angel is naturally beautiful and has a cool and aloof temperament. Men want to conquer her at first glance, but without a certain level of strength, it would be very dangerous. Along the way, Moon Angel killed hundreds of men who had designs on her, her ruthless methods earning her the nickname, Cold Moon Woman. The meaning is simple: a woman as cold and beautiful as the moon. Upon entering the ancient domain, the Moon Angel encountered a newly discovered ruin left behind by a very powerful individual, attracting countless people to flock there. Moon Angel also joined in the fun, exploring the ruins with the main group. With her powerful strength, unpredictable swordsmanship, and reckless fighting style, she managed to snatch an encirclement within the ruins. A small coffin. From the outside, it is only the size of a palm, very inconspicuous, and has no special patterns. It is made of pure black stone, like a child's toy. Others might look down on this thing, but when the moon angel stepped on it, she felt a tremor in the soles of her feet, as if she had been struck by lightning, and her entire soul trembled slightly in an instant. She had already walked over when she sensed something was wrong. She immediately turned back, picked up the coffin, and held it in her palm. She knew then that it was a treasure. This was the only find from the ruins this time, because when we reached the core area, it was completely empty, as if it had been hollowed out, with nothing at all. After emerging from the ruins, the moon angel found a secluded spot, opened the small coffin, and wanted to see what was inside. A teenager. Inside a coffin the size of an adult's palm, lay a teenager. The coffin was no bigger than the palm of a hand, and inside lay a boy. How big could his body be? If it weren't for the youthful traces on his face, even Moon Angel wouldn't be sure of his age. "Hey, are you alive?" the Moon Angel asked, holding the coffin in one hand. The little person in the coffin slowly opened its eyes. When it saw the Moon Angel, it was startled, thinking it had seen a ghost, with such a huge head. Fortunately, the next second he realized that it wasn't the Moon Angel's head that was big, but that he himself had shrunk. "I just took a nap, how could this have happened?" the little man said in a panic, standing up. "What's your name? Where are you from?" the Moon Angel asked. "Zhu Yunlin, this is my name. I was born in the Celestial Court era and I am 16 years old this year," said the little man Zhu Yunlin. The Celestial Court era. Moon Angel thought back carefully. She had been cramming on knowledge about the celestial realm during this time and had learned some things that the general public should know. The Celestial Court era refers to the time when the Celestial Court was first established, a time of flourishing prosperity, unification of the celestial realm, and absolute power. "It was a full 500,000 years ago," the Moon Angel said in a deep voice. Zhu Yunlin was stunned. He slept for 500,000 years. Chapter 650. Don't lie to me, old lady. People from 500,000 years ago. The Moon Angel never imagined that the coffin she casually picked up contained people from 500,000 years ago. It's still a tiny person shrunk many times over. Is it 500,000 years from now? Zhu Yunlin still couldn't believe it and looked at the Moon Angel with suspicion. Moon Angel said coldly, "I have no reason to lie to you. This lie is too easy to expose." Zhu Yunlin thought about it and agreed. It was too outrageous. No one would believe it unless they had witnessed it themselves. Even if it happened, strangers wouldn't believe it unless they saw it. "How did you become like this?" Moon Angel asked, pointing to Zhu Yunlin's body, which had shrunk many times over. In his teens, Zhu Yunlin would have been very tall and handsome, captivating countless young girls. But now he's only the size of a thumb. The difference is too great. Zhu Yunlin was reminded of some memories by Yu Tianxia's question, and he sighed. "Would you like to hear my story?" The moon goddess nodded, sat on a clean piece of jade, her posture graceful, her back straight, her figure perfect. She placed Zhu Yunlin aside and did not continue to support him. "Go ahead and tell me," said the Moon Angel. "Not counting the time I was asleep, I am 18 years old this year. 500,000 years ago, I was very talented and reached the Shenxian realm in my teens. I learned the family martial arts very well, and my future is limitless." Zhu Yunlin first boasted. "When you boys introduce yourselves, do you always start by bragging like this?" Moon Angel asked rhetorically. "This isn't boasting, it's stating the facts," Zhu Yunlin insisted, then added with dissatisfaction. "Do you still want to hear it?" "Go on," Moon Angel said, not wanting to argue with a little brat. "I was born into a privileged family. My father was a top expert in the Celestial Court. My future should have been limitless. However, an accident happened during an outing. One rainy night, I met a girl who instantly captured my heart. I fell in love with her," Zhu Yunlin recalled. "What a cliché story," Moon Angel remarked. What's so cliché? Zhu Yunlin looked at Yu Tianxia with dissatisfaction. This is my story, Zhu Yunlin insisted. So, if this girl falls in love with you, either your father doesn't approve of your relationship and the girl dies, or this girl is an undercover agent, here to gather information, right? Moon Angel said irritably. How can you be so skilled? Zhu Yunlin was dumbfounded. I've heard the storyteller countless times. Can't you come up with something new? Moon Angel complained. While your guess makes sense, my story won't be so common, Zhu Yunlin assured him. All right then, I'll hear your story about what kind of change it is. Moon Angel said, indicating that she was looking forward to it, but in reality, she didn't have much expectation. Whether it's 500,000 years ago or 500,000 years from now, the stories are still the same, the people are still the same, only time has changed, and there's a different group of people. Zhu Yunlin continued. When I met that woman, I pursued her intensely. Just when we were discussing marriage, a devastating disaster struck. A catastrophe. Moon Angel's eyes lit up. Yes, it's a catastrophe for the immortal realm. Chaos is coming. Zhu Yunlin said in a deep voice. Explain in more detail, the Moon Angel said seriously. The immortal realm is vast, capable of giving birth to countless experts. When these experts reach their peak, he is also at the immortal king realm, and will enter a place called the Outer Heaven, which is rumored to be the border of the immortal realm. Ordinary people cannot even set foot there. Only top experts can enter, Zhu Yunlin said. The heavens beyond the heavens. The Moon Angel murmured, for such a place also existed within her divine nature. In the outer heavens, there is a vast race called Chaos. The people of the Chaos race are all brave and skilled in battle, and they want to dominate the immortal realm and make it their territory, Zhu Yunlin explained. The Moon Angel nodded. In the ocean of knowledge of the divine, she also found records about the Chaos race. The Chaos clan, like the Outer Heavens, is a race far removed from the immortal realm. Normally, they would never have any contact with the immortal realm, but there are always exceptions to everything. So, on that occasion, the Chaos clan broke the connection between the Outer Heavens and the immortal realm and entered the immortal realm, especially the newly established immortal court. World War I brought immense suffering and devastation. For Zhu Yunlin, this was absolutely a catastrophe. Why did they enter the immortal realm? The Moon Angel asked, puzzled. In the memories of the divine spark, she had seen that it was not easy for the Chaos clan to enter the immortal realm. Because one of their clansmen smuggled one of the Chaos clan's most precious treasures to the immortal realm, Zhu Yunlin said bitterly. Is it the woman you love? Moon Angel immediately guessed. Yes, after we got together, she became pregnant. I planned to marry her, but her pregnancy caused a miscarriage, which alarmed the Chaos clan. They stormed into the immortal realm to capture her and even kill me, Zhu Yunlin said helplessly. And then? The Moon Angel continued to ask. Then my father fought against the Chaos clan, battling fiercely on all sides, but I was ambushed and left on the verge of death. My wife sent the Chaos clan's most precious treasure into my body and buried me in a coffin, saying that when I woke up, all the problems would be solved, and she and the baby would be waiting for me. Zhu Yunlin sighed, his eyes red as he looked around. Now that I'm awake, everything is over. The Chaos clan is gone, the killing is gone, the mountains of corpses and rivers of blood are gone, even my wife, my father, and my children are gone. Zhu Yunlin couldn't help but smile bitterly, tears streaming down his face. 500,000 years is a very long time for a teenager like him. So long ago, he couldn't even imagine whether his wife, father, and children were still alive. The Moon Angel remained silent for a long while before finally asking, So, what are your plans next? We need to find them, and we also need to address my health issues. This can't go on like this, Zhu Yunlin said firmly. You just said that one of the Chaos clan's most precious treasures is inside your body. The Moon Angel asked. What do you want to do? Zhu Yunlin asked nervously. Don't even think about it. It's been 500,000 years. It's long since become one with me. If I don't take it out on my own, no one else can. Don't worry, I won't steal from you. I'm just introducing you to a good place. Moon Angel's lips curled up, and a bright smile bloomed on her face, like a lamp lighting up the night. This woman is exuding that damn charm again. What's a good place to go? Zhu Yunlin asked, puzzled. I'm young, old lady, please don't lie to me, Zhu Yunlin said worriedly. Moon Angel's face darkened, and she stared at Zhu Yunlin expressionlessly.